Hey, this is Steve Moreland here with the Success Publishing Podcast. And today we have James Railey with us, a brand new author. And I just want to introduce him real quick, or let him introduce himself. I looked over his press release, looking at how he has launched his brand new book, and dying to get into the details of it. But James, I'm going to let you introduce yourself to the audience and tell them a little about your background and how you got here to become an author.
Well, I am James Railey, and how I got here to be an author. Sometimes people often wonder about their life purpose and their mission in life. And I was one of those persons who often thought about, what am I good at? What's my purpose? Well, why did the creative placement here?
Mm-hmm.
And it was through this book that I discovered that my lived experiences have led me to my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am a person who is of African descent. I was born in Liberia, and I migrated here to these United States when I was 12 years old.
Okay.
And so I am, some would say, an African American in the true sense of the word, and got my formal education here, but also life has also led me to a purpose of service. And that service entailed years in the Marine Corps, 6 years, 3 months, 3 days, 57 minutes, and 3 seconds.
I have never heard anyone actually have it down to the seconds. Outstanding.
Yes, and out of the service, my chosen vocation is social work.
Okay.
And so looking back at this lens, it's always been about service to country, God, country, Corps, as we say in the Marine Corps.
Sure.
Service to those who are less fortunate than I, who are underrepresented, those who are marginalized or oppressed. So in very behavioral health settings, in life settings, in the mentorship. And so it's this mosaic of richness informed by not only others and not only by those who have helped or encountered along the way, but also from nature as well.
Okay.
And so it's just this montage of life experiences and just being a present person in the universe that basically have brought me here.
Wow.
So
outstanding. Well, you've used a couple words there, and before I want to go back and kind of unbox the word mosaic and montage that you kind of used there, because I think that's really expressive of what your entire ideal is that you wrote your book about. But I want to first say thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
I have been around a lot of hard chargers. I grew up with the devil dog himself. I went to 17 years of boot under his authority when he came back from Vietnam. So I have all the appreciation for what you've done and standing in harm's way so that good people can sleep at night. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So yes, your whole life has been about service, and it is still about service. And if I understand correctly, your academic degree, can you go into a little bit about that? Because I know your expertise is working in social environments.
Yes, I'm a professional social worker, and I got my master's and doctorate in social work.
Okay.
And the journey to the doctorate happened to be a very interesting one, and basically was a trial in perseverance. It was the epitome of falling down 7 times and getting up 8.
Okay.
And it was also about learning to live on that plane, living that existence that I wanted to create, and being able to see it and hold on to it and visualize it until it became actualized.
Sure.
But certainly it wasn't an easy journey. And so it took 15 years.
Mm. Okay.
15 years to get that piece of paper.
Sure.
And so it was just in that journey is really where I got forged, in this fire of hardship, if you
Sure.
want to call it,
Sure.
because going through it and being responsible for the care of my mom, who happens to be who was in the nursing home
Sure.
for 10 of those 15 years.
Okay.
And she also was one of my staunchest supporters,
Right.
as well, being able to late nights and spending overnights with her, and she would
Right.
tell me to keep the lights on so I could go ahead and type and study and talk to her about what I was doing. And so it was just, and this is why she is so prominent, in the book, because
Mm-hmm.
about a month before I signed up,
Mm-hmm.
uh, a month after, forgive me, she transitioned, and so it was just months, couldn't do anything. And she gifted me the insight and the ability to complete my chapter on my birthday. And
Mm.
so instead of saying, okay, happy birthday, it was like, happy birthday, mom,
Oh, how
we did
cool.
it,
That's
and so it was, so it was just all through that, and just being able to just see myself and basically just my life trajectory, you know, really completing this work and just seeing
right.
just the impact and lives touch, and how people impacted me,
Yes.
led me to say my life, my journey have brought me here.
Wow. I've seen looking at what you wrote in your book, and I see the term that you mentioned, mosaic and tapestry, and used another word, similar description as a montage. Um, I know what those words mean to me,
Mhm.
but I think it's more important of what they mean to you from your perspective, because you use those visual frameworks. So tell me how that comes from inside here, and how are you projecting it out to help the world?
Well, it's, oftentimes, we see entertainers and we see sports figures,
Hmm.
and oftentimes we have this ideal of who they are. And then when something unfortunate happened, we're like, wow, we are shocked, that, okay, well, this is the person who we put so much stock in and
Sure.
belief in. And so Charles Barkley once said, and I hope I'm quoting him right, I'm not a role model, you
Mhm.
know. And
Right.
so for me, those people and those things, and when I say things, I'm talking about just the natural world,
Sure.
because I come from an Afrocentric perspective that everything had personhood,
Mm.
from even storytelling that we used to tell each other. It was, one of my favorite, how the spider waist got so small because he was greedy and gave ropes to villagers,
Uh-huh.
and then when the feast was ready,
Right.
didn't know what time, both villages started to pull him until his waist got small, and hence this is why the spider waist is so small, so stories like that that really had meaning, you know,
Yes.
life lessons and things, really resonated with me. And
Right.
then just having people, who fill the gap as mentors,
Sure.
to basically help me along. And so it's just all these little pieces that basically come together that really make life, worth living, and that you can
Hmm.
also pay it forward, and so when you start to progress in life, and here's another quick vignette.
Hmm.
On my way to my dissertation,
Okay.
uh, my then soon to be chair of my committee, yeah, I met her. I was introduced to her,
Sure.
and I told her, I said, "Well, Glenn, I'm trying to figure things out, and once I figure them out, then I'll give you a call, and then and then we can take it from there."
Sure.
And her response to me was, "No, James, give me a call, and we'll figure it out together."
Ah,
And so it's that decision making, quick decision making, the power of choice. And so it's sometimes it's people basically stepping down to basically raise you up,
mm,
and oftentimes we miss those people because our heads may be too high up in the sky and we may not pay attention, be attuned to those people and those things are around us,
sure.
you know. And sometimes we are ready, to transcend to the next level,
Hmm.
but we just don't know how,
Yeah.
because we don't surrender, and trust the universe enough to basically put us in there in
Yeah.
those spaces, and so for me it's having this history and understanding that and basically knowing and understanding the power of choice and having an understanding to one voice, and being able to powerfully choose what's going to work for you,
Mhm.
and some would say, well, quick decisions, what have you, but is that voice, is that choice, and is that activation of action, being able
Mhm.
to act, to put all that in place. And
Mhm.
so coming from a place where I didn't have that, I didn't understand that, and seeing people who don't have that. And
Mhm.
some of those people are the most brilliant people in the world. And I think my superpower, if I dare say, is the ability to touch lives and impact lives, and
Yes.
being able to structure resources to help impact social context,
Mm,
and it may not be the physical resource. I'm getting to the physical resource because that's part of the big vision,
sure.
but also structuring resources, the mind, how we think, the mindset of saying, hey, I'm more than capable, I'm more than enough.
Yes.
Yes, I may have had all these things, and I can speak to that. Well, hey, I'm a
Mhm.
child who witnessed firsthand a mother who overcame all aspects of domestic violence.
Yes.
I'm a child who also overcame, being molested. Also, I
Sure.
certainly I can say that now.
Sure.
And I'm also that person who felt that he couldn't make it, and so overcame that imposter syndrome. And I knew that I had something. I knew, but I just didn't have the opportunity to basically get to that next level, and took
Right.
some time to get there. And so it's all these offerings, Steve, that
Mm,
I know I may not be for everyone,
right.
but I know I'm for someone. And
Yes.
even if it's just for one person
Hmm.
whose
Right.
life I can touch,
Mm,
then for me, that person and I can basically take a tour and
sure.
basically touch other lives,
Yes.
and so
Outstanding.
that's it. Simple design, simple
Yeah.
pleasures.
Right.
That's my mantra.
And that, the courageousness that you have to go through and talk about where you've been from. A lot of people like to leave those um, unexpressed,
Hmm.
and the courage that it takes to talk about where we came from, talk about the journey, and how many times we fell off the path or fell down on the path. And then you kept returning, and there was something that was, I feel it's almost like it's a homing beacon, or I refer to it as a spark of the creator
Hmm.
that when we're down, we feel that it's still there. And like you referenced that, having faith in yourself, being able to surrender and almost, it's a relaxing into the fact that all of those difficulties that you have had, I think the way you actually wrote it in your book, you said, you compared success to a tapestry where moving forward, stepping back, pivoting, and embracing failure are all mechanisms for success. So I thought that when I read that, it was so descriptive to me, going back again to the idea of the mosaic and the montage, um, the tapestry. They're all of those things are interconnectedness, but when you are so close to them or so distracted from the moment where you need to have faith and be in yourself because you're too busy regretting the past or having fear of a future that hasn't happened yet, you miss just stepping back from the moment to see what your life is creating as a masterpiece. And I just thought you did such an incredible job of painting that picture for me, because when we don't take time to stop and breathe and surrender, then that little piece that we're so frustrated with, that we're angry at, that we are having our 3-year-old temper tantrum in the middle of the month.
Yes.
You never had one of those before, have you?
Of course.
But in that moment, that is the reason why we have that feeling of rage and helplessness and powerlessness and injustice, because we're so close to the event and we haven't relaxed and surrendered and had faith, that then we can back up and readjust, recalibrate, and we start seeing, oh, wait a second, I can't help other people with understanding their pain and their discomfort and their agony unless somewhere along the way I too have had to have that pain, discomfort, and agony. And then it starts making sense and you're like, oh, so if I just came in here with a whole lot of book knowledge and tried to tell people what I think they should do, what would happen? It wouldn't turn out very well. Then get out of here. So all of a sudden you go, oh, wow. So the creator had an intent, a purpose. And I didn't like it, but where along the way does someone tell me that when I signed up for this, that I was going to like it, right? So you really inspired me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve. I mean, this was a dream fulfilled, so thank you also. Thank you and Matt, because it's, I believe it was Emerson who said that when you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen, right? And it's all about making that decision. Okay, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know that this is what I want to do, being able to make it,
right.
And do it, but then also being able, when you reference surrender, it also reminded me of being able to live in grace, being faith-based, being able to live in grace, being able to surrender, knowing that, okay, well, this is what I want to do, right, but not being anxious, not being burden laden with, okay, well, this is not working, because living in grace also allows us to basically know that dream is coming to fruition. Yeah. And hey, be gentle with yourself, and basically, and that's all part of the process. And so it's all part of the montage, it's all part of the mosaic. I see things, Steve, as almost like a puzzle, right? Yeah. It's almost like a movie picture, that, okay, I'm just putting pieces together, and I see how things are, whether it's someone who is a basket weaver, someone who is a plastic surgeon. I see the similarities in what their skill sets are, and I said, well, both of you are saying the same thing. This is what it is,
Yeah.
and being able to come to that is just based on those lived experiences that
Lived experience.
I've gotten from different ports of call,
Yes.
So whether it's the Marine Corps, whether it's watching nature unfold,
Sure.
whether it's sitting in a classroom, whether it's on the Zoom call with my other authors,
Sure.
and learning from them as well. So
Sure.
that's all part of that tapestry. It's
Right.
all part of that lifelong
Right.
and learning.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is the connectedness of being social beings,
Mm.
and so when we're connect and how relationships are formed and established,
Right.
I'm sure I can pick up the phone and text you or email and say, Steve, listen, think about this, what you think,
Yes.
because your dad is a fellow Marine. And one thing about Marines, what, I don't care what era,
Yes.
they serve, there's a bond
Yeah.
that's unlike any other branch of the service that Marines have with each other.
Yes.
No disrespect to any other branch of the service. I love them dearly.
Sure.
But there's just certain bond
Yeah.
that Marines have with each other, that's remarkable.
Yes. Um, I agree with everything that you've said here, and I'm inspired in the visual perspective that you continue to go back to. I can imagine that being able to hand that perspective to someone or many someones that are feeling that point of agony, because a lot of times, correct me if I'm wrong, but the feeling of agony, the feeling that the agony is an expression of a level of expected justice. So when a expectation is unfulfilled, that is the point of suffering.
Hmm.
And with your particular explanation, you are helping individuals frame back from the event that their expectation is not being fulfilled, and helping them understand all you have to do is change your expectation.
Hmm.
If you just tweak that one thing, you talked about the simplicity of your philosophy. If you can just let go of that expectation, what happens to your suffering?
Hmm.
It's no longer there.
Yeah.
And so I just love the way you have explained this. And like you said, you have lived this. So you speak from that position of experience. You've been through the trials and tribulations. You've definitely earned the rockers and the hash marks, my friend. Uh,
Uh,
sure.
thank you. Thank you. And it's, you know, um, I didn't know I was a steward of history, you know, especially a person who's not steeped in history, but just like I said, come from an Afrocentric perspective. And really, it's, for me, the philosophy is just an ancestral, returning to just this ancestral processes and practices
Yes.
for sustainable, restorative, and regenerative practices.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that we're trying to do now, that we're striving to do now, were
Mm-hmm.
all things that our forebears spoke about,
Sure.
how they respected nature. And we talk about sustainability, right now. We had talked about climate,
Mm-hmm.
whatever I'll even fall on with that, and so it's just being able to, when I say just crosswalk in different platforms. Another thing that I believe you and I have similarities with, synergy with,
Mm-hmm.
is stoicism as well.
Mm.
Being able
Sure.
to objectively, see something, right action, and have protecting this citadel of your will.
Sure.
In going through those different processes and things, and so it all comes together in basically how we think,
Yeah.
how we view things, how
Mhm.
we put action into things, how we decide to do things, and then taking ownership and accountability, for that, but also being supported with people who are there to uplift us, as,
Sure.
as, as well.
Yeah.
And so it's just being able to just, transverse, those areas, and just have people in, as someone said, continue to empower those you meet with your essence,
Mm.
and that's what my mission is, to
Wow.
basically have people live lives worth living, especially the
Wow.
young people, especially their parents who want to provide that support for them, but really those people who just don't know how.
Yeah.
As I highlighted in the book,
Yes.
those people, whether it's uh, self-sabotage behavior,
Mhm.
whether it's living through experiencing traumatic experiences,
Sure.
or just ready to rise above whatever their current condition is.
Yeah.
You know, the my greatest, one of my greatest, and this is the last thing, and I'll be quiet.
Good.
One of my greatest teachers
Mhm.
was an African woman who taught me spirituality,
Mm.
who taught me the way of life
Okay.
and being mindful on the things and the needs of others. And she once said this, and it just stuck with me, that man's condition, our condition, is not perfect, but the
Mm.
position that the Creator has put us in is perfect. And so we strive for perfection, although we know it's something that we'll never get, but it's always
Interesting.
forward, never backwards.
I love it. Well, and in this, again, I can see how this whole idea of the montage, the mosaic, the tapestry, how all of your life seems to have uh, been around that concept. And your mentor that gave you this perspective helped you, again, alter your paradigm
Hmm.
so that you focus on the position is the right position. It may not be that it's comfortable.
Hmm.
And again, changing that paradigm allows you to step back and to take a little more expansive relationship to what's going on with your world.
Yes.
And wow, I I am so honored to have had time just to get to know you and to be able to help you reach so many individuals with this, like you said, simplicity. Because if you change the vision, if you change how they are perceiving their world by just tweaking the paradigm, then you can take someone that's blind and in their own agony and eliminate the blindness by helping them let go of an expectation or changing their point of view.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Uh-huh.
How incredible. What an incredible life you have created, my friend. Thank you for being you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you
Oh,
so much. You and Matt, like I said, thank you. You guys really helped me uh, live a dream and complete it and see it to fruition, as well. So thank you. And
exciting.
my mother looks down and she thank you guys as well.
That's wonderful. It's my honor, and I'm so excited to continue to see how this book is going to have an impact and open doors, which is going to allow you to share your true words of wisdom that come from life and experience. And there are so many individuals out there that are lost in what I call the maze, and it's dark and it's lonely. They are feeling those feelings of powerlessness, helplessness that leads to that hopelessness. And by you helping them change their perspective, you give them back the most important thing, which is hope.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Definitely.
I appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right.